After her humble origins performing rock and roll alongside her sisters starting in the late 1960s, bassist Suzi Quatro rocketed to solo success over the course of the 70s, with such hits as Can the Can and Stumblin In. Suzi's come to be known as one of the very first female rock stars, and is still at it today at age 71. One of Suzi's big moments during the height of her career was when she guest starred on Happy Days, performing a couple songs from her rock and roll idol Elvis Presley. Join Facts First as we take a look at what happened to Suzi Quatro after Happy Days. Suzi Quatro broke out into the music scene as a solo artist in the early 1970s. The year was 73, and Suzi was preparing to release her first big solo single, titled Can the Can. The record label wanted Suzi's image to be more modern, but her passion was old-fashioned rock and roll. At Suzi's insistence, she wore a leather getup while promoting her lead single, such as the kind often worn by her rock and roll idol Elvis Presley. She also took inspiration from Jane Fonda's appearance in the film Barbarella. With her insistence on her rock star image, Suzi Quatro has come to be known as one of the very first female rock stars. Her debut single was a massive success, reaching the top of the charts. She released numerous other successful singles early on, such as Devil Gate Drive, 48 Crash, and Stumblin In. Her early success paved the way for her to make numerous appearances on Top of the Pops, where she reached an even wider audience. As one of the first female rock stars, Suzi Quatro helped pave the way for subsequent luminaries like Joan Jett. In fact, Jett has credited seeing Suzi in concert with inspiring her to become a rock star herself. According to Suzi, she never intended to become a groundbreaking figure in the music industry. It just kind of happened. Suzi was only 14 years old when she began performing rock and roll music. According to Suzi, she first became inspired to perform it after she and her sisters caught the Beatles playing on television. The girl's father had been a professional musician, having played in several jazz bands around the Detroit area. This meant there were plenty of instruments around the house for the girls to fool around with. When it came time for them to start performing, Suzi was tasked with playing bass, a position she was given by her older sister. Suzi and her sisters formed a band they dubbed the Pleasure Seekers. With their unique rock star appeal, the teenage girls soon began finding themselves in high demand. Suzi and her sisters had a much harder edge than the majority of girl groups at the time, and this attracted a lot of attention. After they started becoming successful, Suzi dropped out of school and never returned. Playing rock and roll music became her and her sister's full-time job. Growing up in that scene required Suzi to become a bit tougher than the average young woman. According to Suzi, she'd always carry a knife around wherever she went while performing during the early days of her career. Their brother accompanied the girls during the majority of their gigs for protection. When Suzi's older sister got married, her husband also stuck around at concerts to keep an eye on them. But Suzi claims she still had some negative experiences with fans early on. Suzi learned to hold her own while performing. According to her, if anyone near the stage made rude gestures at her while she was on it, she'd bash them in the face with the bottom of her bass. Her father, who exhibited similar behavior when he saw men mistreating his daughters, instilled much of this attitude in Suzi. Suzi recalled a time when she and her sisters were opening up for rock and roll legend Chuck Berry. Suzi's father caught the musician getting a little too handsy with her older sister. Her father proceeded to punch Chuck Berry in the face, much to Suzi and her sister's chagrin. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already, and stick around for more about Suzi Quatro. It was in 1971 that the man who would go on to make her a big star first spotted Suzi Quatro. That was English record producer Mickie Most, who spotted Suzi while she was playing a gig with her sisters. Mickie felt Suzi had potential as a solo artist and approached her with an offer to become a star. Suzi was initially hesitant to break away from her sisters, fearing it would cause a rift amongst the family, but she was eventually talked into it. Her breakout success as a solo artist came in 1973 with the release of Can the Can. Her success as a solo artist and decision to break away from her sisters did end up causing some mild family turmoil, though it seems most of this bad blood was later put aside. According to Suzi, sticking to her guns and maintaining her rock star image was a challenge after becoming a major success, though she feels she's managed to do it. Sadly, Suzi continued to have to deal with sexual harassment over the course of her career. Suzi never liked to draw much attention to her womanhood, as she preferred people to focus on her music. But she certainly drew plenty of attention on account of being a rare woman in the rock and roll scene. There was a notorious incident where Suzi was groped during a live taping of a 1970s talk show by host Russell Hardy. According to Suzi, she would have traditionally kicked someone for doing such a thing to her, but the fact she was on live television forced her to keep her cool. Still, it doesn't stop Suzi from holding a grudge against the host. As a female pioneer in the rock and roll scene who's been forced to deal with her share of harassment and discrimination, Suzi's been a supporter of the Me Too scene in recent years. She feels it's been a long time coming, and the types of behaviors the movement was formed in reaction to have been around for too long in the entertainment industry, and were never okay. As a young woman, she claimed she wasn't above kneeing someone in the balls if they tried to put their hands on her. Apparently, the only celebrity figure she's ever let get away with groping her was AC/DC's Malcolm Young, who seemed instantly apologetic enough that she forgave him. Otherwise, he would have gotten a slap in the face. After a few years of being a successful solo performer in rock and roll, Suzi Quatro made a notable guest appearance on Happy Days. This was in 1977, and Suzi played a fictional rock star named Leather Tuscadero. Of course, Leather was merely a fictionalized version of herself. In the two-part episode, Suzi could be seen performing songs made famous by her idol, Elvis Presley. While Suzi can no longer be found on the rock and roll charts, she's still at it today at age 71. She's also kept healthy and looks just as stunning today in her 70s as she did back in the day. In late 2020, Suzi had a scare when she was diagnosed with COVID-19. According to the rock and roll legend, she caught the illness from a family member. But perhaps as a result of her healthy lifestyle and lifetime of exercising her lungs, she was able to recover from the virus in a few days. While many of the female rock stars who came in Suzi Quatro's pioneering wake chose to dabble in drugs and alcohol, Suzi's always taken care of herself. Her latest solo album is coming out soon, and she's set to start performing live again in 2022. She's been a consistent performer since the start of her career, and her latest album is her 18th. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that Happy Days' Suzi Quatro was only 14 when she first started performing rock and roll, and that she's still performing to this day? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.